that which is eternal.
All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I'm Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today is what I am wearing on my bomber for the IC event and for the foreseeable future, because I do feel like it is very powerful. Now, I dropped some hints on this in previous videos when I was discussing my melee Magblade build. You know, I said I was trying to level up Onslaught. I will be using Onslaught for bombing, as you guys saw in the clip. You know, if you go back and watch it, 37k proxy debt in a standard. You know, you get damage mitigation from standard, and 37k proxy debt is nothing to scoff at. So this is very, very powerful. I think it's definitely a way to go. It's the way that I'm going. Obviously, there's other ways to bomb. I discussed that in the previous video, but this is a little bit more unique. Now, I've talked in the past when they made the changes to Onslaught about running Onslaught on like a Mag DK or something like that. I honestly didn't think about running it on a bomber. Sky ESO is actually the one that brought it up in my Discord about it being a thing. And as soon as he said like Onslaught bombing, I was like, oh yeah, duh. You know, because then you get full pen on your proximity detonation. So I'm going to provide a link in the description to Sky's channel, because, you know, he's the one that reminded me about it. And, you know, if there will be a link in the description as well for my Discord. There are a lot of helpful people in there, guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, you know, it's not just me that's responding. I feel like in general, most people have been, you know, very willing to reach out and provide their tips and tricks on what they're doing. So I recommend checking that out. With that being said, guys, let's dive into the build. Yeah. As far as consumables go, guys, I'm running dual stat food, max health, max magicka. You can run a bunch of stuff here. This is the way that I'm going to give me the most bang for my buck for damage. As far as the front bar goes, guys, we're running Vicious Death, and we are running the Nirnhone Greatsword. Now, the reason we're running Nirnhone is Onslaught ignores resistances. And so we do not need Sharpened for this Greatsword. Nirnhone will give us the best amount of damage for our buck. Vicious Death is an amazing bombing set. I mean, if you guys have ever bombed or seen a bomber, most people are running this set. Spell damage, max magicka, spell crit. When you kill a player, they violently explode for 22,664 flame band damage to all their enemies in a 4-meter radius. So, when you get a good bomb, guys, it's kind of like a domino effect. You kill 1 to 2 people, they kill a few more people, and you just kind of see it just kind of escalate. And it's really fun. Vicious Death, I don't think you necessarily need to run it this patch, but Vicious Death is just such an amazing set for that reason. If people are stacked, more people are going to die when you kill somebody. So that's why we're running it. We're running the Greatsword for Onslaught. It has to be Nirnhone. Black Rose Resto on the back bar. We will be using Healing Ward. You can run any Resto back here. You don't need the Black Rose Resto. You don't need, you know, a Resto staff. You can run a Destro. This is just a quick way to potentially get out and survive if you fail bomb. Fail bombing does happen, guys. It happens a lot. But yeah. I run Defending on the back bar just for that little extra tankiness. And as far as the body pieces go, guys, we're running 2-piece Balorg. Now, I've talked about Balorg a lot on this channel. I'm going to reiterate it. I apologize for those of you guys that watch all my build videos and you're like, dude, you're bringing up Balorg for the 10,000th time. Some people are new. They don't necessarily know. When you use an ultimate ability, you gain weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds equal to twice the amount of the total ultimate consumed. Now, this gets confused. Sometimes I see it on other people's build videos where they don't understand how this works. I've posted the test on my channel, but essentially when you activate your ultimate, guys, however much ultimate you have built up, you will get double that in weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds, and it works on the ultimate. So if, as an example, Onslaught costs 150 ultimate, when I activate Onslaught, I will get 300 weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds, and it works for the ultimate as well. It's not after the Onslaught lands, it's when I activate it. And so I get it not only for the ultimate, but for every ability for 10 seconds afterwards. If I have 500 ultimate, which is the capped amount of ultimate that you can have, I can have 1,000 weapon and spell damage for this 2-piece set. This is the best bombing set in the game, guys. It is very, very powerful for that reason. Let's see how much ult we have. We don't even have enough ult right now. It's very, very powerful. And so If you don't have this, guys, you can run 2 one pieces. You can run Slime Craw. You can run those, but Balor will give you the best bang for your buck. Now, the other set, we're running 5 War Maiden. Now, the reason we're running War Maiden, I know in my other video, I talked about running Spinners. I talked about running Mechanical Acuity, and Acuity I think would work. I went with War Maiden for one reason. We're already ignoring all resistances with Onslaught. We already get the pen that we will get with Onslaught. And so now we just want to stack as much spell damage as possible. If you wanted to go Mechanical Acuity, I think that'd be more than fine. Honestly, War Maiden's kind of hard to get. So you could either run War Maiden, you could run Acuity, or you can craft 5-piece Julianos, and it'll give you a little bit less spell damage than like what... It'll give you less spell damage than this, but it's a lot easier to get. War Maiden was actually very hard to find in Divines on Xbox, so it was a little bit rough, to be honest. But I really like this. This is what I got. This is what I'm running for my bomb. It works out very well. All Divines, all Max Magicka. And then we're running all Infused Spell Damage, Vicious Death. As far as our skills go, well, we'll go to the character sheet. Because we're running Infused, we don't have as much Max Magicka. It gives us a little bit more damage. 64 points into Magicka, Max Health Magicka, Shadow Mundus, and we do want to be a Stage 4 Vampire to maneuver around more slowly. Or more quickly, not slowly. As far as our front bar goes, we are running Onslaught. Now, people are going to look at this and they're like, well, Onslaught is a 2-handed ability. It doesn't really scale. Well, ultimate scale with your max stats. And so even though we are a Magicka-based toon, we can have a very, very high tooltip for our Onslaught. And so you see it's at level 1. I still have a 19,000 Onslaught. This will jump over 20,000 once I get fully leveled. Very, very powerful Onslaught with the Shadow Mundus. And so we actually have more with our crit damage. This is very powerful for the burst that it does. On top of that, guys, they changed it this patch to where it's an AoE. The radius is 5 meters. So it's a 5-meter AoE that does 19,000 damage. But what it also does is this attack ignores the target's resistance and grants you physical and spell penetration for your direct damage attacks equal to the amount ignored from the initial target for 9 seconds. So, if the person has 20k resistances and you hit them with Onslaught, you will get 20k pen for your proxy debt. If they have 30k resistances, you will have 30k pen, 40k whatever. And so, ideally, and it's going to depend on what you want to do, but if you can kind of single out like a tankier player to Onslaught, that's maybe by a squishy player, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. I'm not saying that's what you do, but if you can focus somebody that actually has good resistances or that you think has good resistances, and your splash damage just kills somebody next to him so you get the VD proc, you will have ridiculous amounts of pen to go with all the spell damage we have with the Shadow Mundus, with the scaling of the proxy debt, and you will get some ridiculous proximity detonation explosions. Like I showed you guys, I didn't even think that bomb was that good, but you saw the tooltip on there. 37k proxy debt. It is really awesome. Concealed weapon. We're not really doing damage with this, but while slotted, your movement speed while sneaking or invisible is increased by 25%. So we can move around a lot quicker with this. With our shadow image, it allows us to maneuver. I'm still running Mass Hysteria. You don't necessarily have to run it. If people jump on me, I can fear them, get away. That's essentially why I'm running it. You can run Inner Light here. Inner Light, would arguably be better. Actually, probably not arguably. For more damage, it would be better. But it's up to you if you want to run Inner Light or Mass Hysteria. Shadowy Disguise. This is for our cloak to guarantee our critical strike on our Onslaught. Lotus Fan, we're fitting it here because we need an assassination skill for the Hemorrhage passive. You don't have to run Lotus Fan. You can run something else. Any of these skills will work, but you want the Hemorrhage passive, which is 10% more critical damage from stealth. It stacks very well with the Nightblade. And then Sap Essence, this is going to be our spammable to finish people off. Back bar, we're running Healing Ward. Black Rose Resto, this is going to be our heal. Race Against Time. The other morph lasts longer, guys. So a lot of people go with the other morph. I'm running this because I like the snare immunity. And I've found that, minor force for 12 seconds is enough. If you want the major expedition for a longer amount of time and be able to get from distance, the other one is better. I do go back and forth running other builds on my Magicka Nightblade. I get along fine with this. I do think the other morph is better for bombing specifically, but I do fine with this. So that's up to you. Proximity Detonation, this is what is going to kill everybody, as we all know. There's no cap on this, so the more people are bunched up, the harder this is going to hit. You want to see 40 to 50 man groups when you're on a bomber. I'm not going to lie. Like, you want to see as many people stacked into a tight area as possible. And this is the main reason, because proximity detonation is amazing. I honestly wish that more AoE skills would be like this. You know, like I wish, I had a discussion with a few of my buddies about this, but we were talking about like Sap Essence and Steel Tornado and like all these other AoE skills. It'd be really cool if it started off as like, it can't replace a single target ability. You know, it does like 5k damage on single target, or in this case like 8k damage. But it scales on the amount of people you hit. So if all of a sudden like you're running Steel Tornado and 20 people bog you down, you can get like 15k Steel Tornadoes because they're all running you down and you're able to hit them all in that close place. I would like to see more AoE skills work like proximity detonation, in my opinion. Like, I think that'd be very nice for not just magic attunes to have this type of thing, but stamina attunes to have this potential as well to, you know, wipe large amounts of people that are stacked for, you know, because they want to be Zergs and they want to run around. But that's just my opinion. Not saying it has to be that way. That's just what I've been thinking about. Shadow Image, this is going to allow us to get in and out potentially. We're not always going to survive, but this gives us the chance to. Siphoning attacks gives us a little bit of sustain. We are not running a lot of recovery. And Soul Tether. Soul Tether, you know, if you're running Harness on your back bar, which you absolutely can, this gives you that. Soul Tether is just also another decent ultimate as like a heal, survive, and get out type of thing. It will come in handy sometimes. As far as our champion points go, guys, 56 Warlord, 22 into Siphoner, doesn't have to be that much. 43 Tenacity, 64 Arcanist, 15 into Mooncalf, 51 into Tumbling, 19 into Befoul. You don't need any points in a Befoul, to be honest. That's for my other build. But the green tree doesn't matter a whole lot when you're bombing. You don't have a ton of recovery. I'd put points into Sneaking. You know, I put points into Tumbling and Shadow Ward. Or sorry, not Shadow Ward, into Shade. And then, you know, maybe a few points into, like a bunch of points into Warlord. So that's probably how I would do it. As far as the blue tree goes, guys, this is the most interesting, in my opinion. No points into Thaumaturge, we're all direct damage. 81 Master at Arms, 100 into Ellie Expert, 81 into Elfborn. We do not need points into Spell Erosion because we're already getting our pen from our Onslaught. We are throwing a few in here because I don't think any other tree really helps buff anything, and this is the leftover that, you know, we reach breaking points once you get right over the percentage amount, and 8 points into here into Elfborn or Master at Arms doesn't matter, so we'll just add a little bit of pen for those people that are tankier that we don't onslaught initially. So I don't think you need a lot of Spell Erosion, a lot of points into Spell Erosion. I'd rather go into the direct damage to hit as hard as possible because we're going to get our pen, you know, anyways. 72 Ironclad, 52 Resistant, 37 Hardy, 37 LA Defender, 28 Thick Skin, 44 into Bastion. So that's the CP. Like I said, as far as consumables go, I showed you the dual stat food. I'm wearing Spell Power Pots. As far as, you know, the bomb goes, guys, you're going to want to, you know, buff up, like I said. We'll make sure we have our alt. We're going to buff with our proxy det. We're going to go in. And then right before our proxy goes off, we onslaught, and our proximity detonation goes off, and everybody dies. And then we try and get the hell out of there with Telvar Stones or AP or whatever we could potentially get out of there with. So, as I said, guys, you don't necessarily have to run an Onslaught. You can run Soul Tether. There are pros and cons to both. You know, Soul Tether has an 8-meter radius, and so it's almost twice as much as Onslaught. Onslaught's only 5. Soul Tether, they're the same cost. This one ignores resistances, and this one doesn't. So, you know, you're better off potentially running another set with this. It all depends on what you guys want to do, guys. If you guys don't want to level up a 2H and you want to go Soul Tether bombing, that's fine. It's very effective. You know, at the end of the day, it all depends on how grouped up they are. You basically just want them grouped up so that your proximity detonation can kill as many people as possible. I found Onslaught accents proximity detonation very well because you get so much pen with it. So that's what I've been running. That's what I will still be running, you know, while this event persists, and when, you know, groups get really big topside in PvP, this is what I will bust out to, you know, try and break them up a little bit. So I encourage, once again, I encourage as many people as possible that when they see a big group down at Molag Bal, be it red, blue, or yellow. Or if they're zerging up top, with the weapon and you see a 60-man group, have a bomber ready. Just be ready to break some people up, get a 100k AP tick off of killing a mess of people that decided to just stack all on top of each other. So I don't care. Regardless of faction, if you're zerging, get them to spread out. Get them to spread out across the map. Let's get some fun fights. Yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please provide it in the section below. I'm not saying this is perfect. I'm just saying this is what I'm running. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.